Your feet are whispering a warning. Most people over 60 ignore it until it is too late. That tingling sensation you feel after sitting too long, or the numbness creeping into your toes at night, it is not just aging. It is your nervous system sending an urgent distress signal. And then a landmark Mayo Clinic study published in 2026 confirmed something that stopped neurologists cold. 68% of seniors over 60 actually reverse their tingling symptoms simply by eliminating 3 specific daily habits. Not medication, not surgery, 3 habits. Dr. Elena Vargas, a peripheral nerve specialist, calls this one of the most underreported findings in senior neurology in a decade. The window to act is narrow. But here is the critical part: this is reversible if you catch it early. What you are about to hear is a neurologist-backed list of exactly what to stop doing starting today. Hope, not fear, but the clock is already running. Think of your peripheral nerves as the electrical wiring running through the walls of a house. They carry signals from your brain down through your spine, along your legs, all the way to the tips of your toes. When the wiring is healthy, signals travel fast and clean. You feel temperature, pressure, movement. You feel the warmth of a floor through your socks, the slight give of grass under your heel, the pressure of a shoe lacing across the top of your foot. You feel the cool smoothness of tile in the morning and the subtle shift in texture when carpet gives way to hardwood. You feel the difference between a smooth surface and a rough one, between warm and cool, between pressure and release. Everything works the way it should. You do not think about it. You do not have to. The system runs silently in the background, 1,000 small confirmations every hour that the body is intact and connected and alive. But here is what changes after 60. Every nerve fiber in your body is wrapped in a protective coating called the myelin sheath. Think of it like the plastic insulation around an electrical wire. That coating keeps signals sharp and prevents interference. Without it, signals scatter. They bleed into neighboring fibers. They arrive late, distorted, or not at all. As you age, that sheath gradually thins. It becomes fragile. And after 60, the body's ability to repair myelin slows dramatically. Damage starts accumulating faster than it can be fixed. The maintenance crew is still showing up every morning, tools in hand, ready to work, but the work orders are piling up faster than they can clear them. The backlog grows, the repairs fall behind, and the wiring inside the walls starts to degrade in ways that will not become visible until the lights begin to flicker. When those nerve fibers lose their insulation, signals misfire. They fire when they should not. They go quiet when they should be active. The result is what neurologists call paresthesia, that tingling, buzzing, pins and needles sensation most people feel in their feet and lower legs first, because those nerves are the longest in the body and the farthest from the brain's repair resources. It is not random. It is a compressed nerve, an inflamed nerve, or a nutrient-starved nerve, firing incorrectly. It is a structural problem broadcasting itself through sensation. The body does not have a louder alarm. This is it. This is the alarm. Here is the distinction that matters. Occasional tingling after sitting in an awkward position for too long, that is normal. That is temporary compression. It resolves in minutes. The nerve was squeezed, blood flow dropped briefly, and the moment you shifted your weight, circulation returned and the signal cleared. You stood up, took a few steps, and by the time you reached the kitchen, it was gone. But persistent tingling, tingling that returns daily, tingling that wakes you up at night or lingers for hours after you have stood up and moved around, that is a red flag. That is your peripheral nervous system telling you something is wrong at a structural level. That is not a position problem. That is a nerve problem. And the difference between those two things is the difference between a warning you can still act on and damage that has already crossed a threshold. Dr. Elena Vargas made this exact point in a June 2026 clinical review published in the Journal of Peripheral Neurology. She identified 3 modifiable daily behaviors that directly cause or dramatically worsen this kind of persistent tingling in adults over 60. Not genetics, not age alone, behaviors, things people do every single day without realizing the damage they are causing. Small, unremarkable actions that feel completely harmless in the moment. The nervous system keeps a running tab. It does not send a warning after the first offense, or the 10th, or the 50th. It absorbs the insult quietly, adjusts, compensates, and continues functioning until one day it cannot compensate anymore. And eventually, it sends the bill. Nobody was paying attention to prolonged sitting back then. It seemed harmless. A comfortable chair, a favorite television program, an afternoon that slipped by unnoticed. That was about to change. Picture a Tuesday afternoon in the life of millions of seniors across the country. The recliner is soft and familiar, the remote is within reach, the news is on, then a documentary, then another program that seemed worth watching. 2 hours pass, then 3. The feet start to tingle, the legs feel heavy and slightly numb below the knee. Most people shift position, shake it out, and think nothing of it. A little stiffness, normal for their age. But something is happening beneath the surface that cannot be undone so easily. When you sit for more than 45 minutes without moving, the sciatic nerve, the longest nerve in the human body, running from your lower back all the way down through your buttocks, through your thighs, past your knees, and into your feet, begins to experience compression. The pressure builds gradually, the way water pressure builds in a kinked hose. The perineal nerve, which wraps around the outside of the knee and controls sensation in the lower leg and foot, loses blood flow. Oxygen delivery to nerve tissue drops, and nerve tissue, unlike muscle, does not bounce back quickly. Muscle recovers from compression within minutes. Nerve tissue holds onto that insult. It remembers. It carries the memory of that compression forward into the next session, and the one after that, each time starting from a slightly more compromised baseline than the time before. The Lancet Neurology published findings in March 2026 confirming what peripheral nerve specialists had suspected for years. Leg crossing, something almost everyone does without thinking, multiplies the pressure on the perineal nerve by up to 3 times compared to sitting with feet flat on the floor. 3 times. That is not a minor increase. That is the difference between a nerve under mild stress and a nerve being actively compressed to the point of misfiring. In seniors with already thinning myelin sheaths, that compression does not just cause temporary tingling. It contributes to cumulative nerve damage that builds over months and years, each session adding a small, invisible increment to a total that eventually becomes impossible to ignore. But here is the detail that everyone missed at the time. It was not just the crossing itself. It was the duration. Crossing your legs for 30 seconds while you adjust your position, that is not the problem. Sitting with your legs crossed for 20, 30, 40 minutes at a stretch, day after day, week after week, that is where the damage compounds. The nerve gets compressed, blood flow is restricted, the myelin thins a little more, and the next time you sit that way, the threshold for damage is lower than it was before. The nerve is more vulnerable. The same position that caused mild tingling 6 months ago now causes burning. The same chair that felt comfortable last year now leaves your foot numb for an hour after you stand. The progression is so gradual that most people never notice it happening. They simply adjust their expectations downward, one small increment at a time, until the new normal is a level of discomfort they would never have accepted 5 years earlier. You would think someone would have said something. Nobody did. Doctors rarely ask seniors how long they sit each day or how they position their legs when they do. Physical therapists focus on movement and strength. The simple act of staying seated too long, legs crossed in a favorite chair, flies completely under the clinical radar. Meanwhile, the nervous system is quietly accumulating damage that will eventually announce itself as persistent tingling, burning, or numbness that does not go away when you stand up. That does not resolve with a short walk. That has become the new baseline. The floor has shifted, and most people do not even realize they are standing on different ground. The Mayo Clinic's 2026 research was direct on this point. Eliminating prolonged sitting was one of the 3 core behavioral changes that contributed to symptom improvement in 68% of seniors studied, not a minor variable, a primary driver. The researchers found that participants who began standing or walking for just 2 to 3 minutes every 30 to 40 minutes showed measurable improvements in lower limb nerve conduction within 8 weeks. 8 weeks. That is how responsive the peripheral nervous system can be when you remove the source of compression consistently and early enough. The fix is almost insultingly simple. Set a timer every 30 to 40 minutes, stand up, walk to the kitchen, walk to the window, walk to the end of the hallway, and back. 2 minutes is enough to restore blood flow to the perineal and sciatic nerves. Enough to let compressed tissue decompress. Enough to give your nervous system the circulation it needs to maintain itself. And when you sit back down, feet flat on the floor, no crossing. If you must cross 5 minutes maximum, then uncross and reset. That single adjustment, repeated consistently, begins to change the nerve's environment. Less compression, more oxygen, more repair. The body does not need a dramatic intervention. It needs the obstacle removed. It needs the hose unkinking again and again until the flow stays clear on its own. The timer goes off, you stand, you walk, you come back, you sit flat. That is the entire protocol. Repeated daily, it becomes the difference between a nervous system that stabilizes and one that continues its slow, invisible slide. The clock was already ticking. Your nervous system just could not hear it yet. Millions of people are doing this every single day right now. Sitting too long, legs crossed, feet tingling, dismissing it as nothing. And for most of them, the damage is still in the reversible window. But that window does not stay open forever. The myelin keeps thinning. The nerve keeps accumulating insult. And one day the tingling stops being occasional and becomes the permanent background noise of every waking hour. The sound that never fully goes away. But this was not just about prolonged sitting anymore. Because researchers discovered that what people were consuming, specifically one ingredient found in almost every processed food in the modern diet, was accelerating nerve damage at a rate that sitting alone could never explain. The year is 2026. A research team at the Lancet Neurology publishes findings that stop the medical community cold. They have identified a silent accomplice in the neuropathy epidemic, and it has been hiding in plain sight for decades. Sugar. Not the kind you spoon into coffee, the kind buried inside crackers, salad dressing, pasta sauce, protein bars, flavored oatmeal, and every processed food lining the center aisles of every grocery store in the country. The kind people over 60 consume daily without a second thought, often in foods they believe are healthy. The kind that, according to the Lancet report, is listed as a top tingling accelerant, accelerating nerve deterioration faster than almost any other dietary factor studied in the cohort. Here is what happens inside the body. When blood glucose levels run consistently high, excess sugar molecules attach themselves to nerve proteins in a process called glycation. It is not dramatic, it is not painful at first, it is quiet, methodical, and relentless. The glucose coats the nerve fibers the way rust coats iron, slowly, invisibly, until the structure underneath is compromised beyond easy repair. The coating stiffens the nerve. It disrupts the delicate electrochemical environment that allows signals to travel cleanly. The peripheral nerves in the feet and legs are the first to go. They are the longest nerves in the body. They are the farthest from the heart. They are the most vulnerable to anything that disrupts circulation or protein integrity. And once glycation has progressed far enough, the damage it leaves behind does not simply reverse when the sugar is removed. The window for recovery narrows with every passing month. If that sounds bad, keep watching. Because the Lancet team found something even more alarming than the damage itself. They found the timeline. In most cases, neuropathy from high blood sugar had been progressing silently for years, sometimes 5, sometimes 10, before a single symptom was ever formally diagnosed. People were walking around with measurable nerve damage and had no idea. Their fasting glucose numbers were creeping upward year by year. Their doctors noted it at annual checkups. Pre-diabetic, they were told, watch your diet, come back next year, and they did. And the numbers crept higher, and the nerves kept deteriorating. And nobody connected the tingling in their feet to the muffin they had every morning for breakfast, or the sweetened yogurt they chose because the label said low fat, or the pasta sauce that listed sugar as its third ingredient. The connection was there, it was just never made out loud, in a room, by someone who could do something about it. The Mayo Clinic weighed in with their own data. In a reviewed cohort of patients presenting with peripheral tingling, eliminating high sugar intake was one of 3 changes that reversed symptoms within weeks, not months, weeks. Patients who had been told their tingling was simply a consequence of aging, irreversible, unmanageable, something to accept and live with, began reporting significant improvement after cutting added sugars from their diet. The nerve fibers, it turned out, had not been destroyed. They had been suppressed, starved of clean circulation, coated in glucose. And when the glucose load dropped, the nerves began to recover. The glycation process slowed, the microcirculation improved, the signals started traveling more cleanly again. The body had been waiting for the interference to stop. It just needed the opportunity. The warning signs of early blood sugar dysfunction are specific and sequential. Fatigue after meals, particularly after carbohydrate-heavy ones. Increased thirst in the afternoon. Blurred vision that comes and goes. Brain fog that lifts by mid-morning but returns after lunch. Tingling that starts in the toes and gradually moves upward toward the ankle and lower leg. These are not random complaints. They are a sequence, a progression. The body broadcasting a signal on a frequency most people have been trained to dismiss as ordinary aging. But it is not ordinary. It is directional. It is telling you exactly where the damage is heading and how fast it is moving. The action steps are straightforward. Reduce added sugars, not just obvious sources like candy and soda, but hidden sources in bread, condiments, flavored yogurt, packaged snacks, and anything with more than 5 grams of added sugar per serving. Read the label on the pasta sauce. Read the label on the granola bar that markets itself as heart healthy. Read the label on the salad dressing you have been using for 15 years without a second thought. Check your fasting blood glucose, a simple test, a number that tells you exactly where you stand. Know the early warning signs of insulin resistance and prediabetes. Recognize the sequence when it starts, because the window between early signs and irreversible damage is real. And it is not as wide as most people assume. Up to this point, the body had been compensating, absorbing the damage quietly, keeping the symptoms manageable. That was about to flip. It is 11:47 p.m. The bedroom is dark except for one source of light, a screen. Blue-white, relentless. The person holding it has been awake for 3 hours past the time their body needed sleep. This is not an unusual night. This is every night. The phone, the tablet, the television left on in the corner, they have become the last thing seen before sleep and the first thing reached for upon waking. And according to the Cleveland Clinic, that pattern is doing something to the nervous system that most people would never suspect. In February 2026, the Cleveland Clinic released findings that reframed the entire conversation around peripheral neuropathy in older adults. Researchers had been tracking a cohort of patients over 60 with documented tingling symptoms. They were looking for dietary patterns, exercise habits, medication interactions. What they found instead, or rather what they found in addition, was a behavioral pattern so consistent across the cohort that it could not be dismissed as coincidence. Late-night screen time, chronic sleep disruption, unmanaged stress. 3 factors, present in nearly every accelerating case, absent in nearly every improving one. The mechanism is not complicated, but the consequences are severe. Sleep is the body's nerve repair window. During deep, slow-wave sleep, the nervous system undergoes active maintenance. Myelin, the protective sheath surrounding nerve fibers, is repaired and reinforced during these cycles. Cerebrospinal fluid flushes inflammatory waste products from neural tissue. Cellular repair processes that cannot run efficiently during waking hours activate fully. Picture a road crew that can only work when the highway is closed. The moment traffic returns, they have to stop, pack up their equipment, and wait. Disrupt those sleep cycles and the maintenance halts. The damage accumulates unopposed. The tingling worsens. Night after night, hour after hour, the deficit compounds. The road crew never gets enough time to finish the job. Blue light from screens suppresses melatonin production. Suppressed melatonin delays sleep onset. Delayed sleep onset reduces total deep sleep. Reduced deep sleep elevates cortisol. Elevated cortisol inflames nerve tissue and restricts microcirculation to the extremities. Restricted microcirculation means less oxygen, less nutrient delivery, less repair capacity reaching the feet and legs. The cycle feeds itself. Each night slightly worse than the last. Each morning slightly more symptomatic than the one before. The tingling that used to appear only at night begins appearing during the day. The numbness that used to resolve by morning starts lingering into the afternoon. The baseline shifts again, the same way it shifted with the chair, the same way it shifted with the sugar, quietly, incrementally, until the new normal is something that would have been unacceptable a year ago. The most dangerous thing in many bedrooms after 60 is not a medical condition. It is a 5-inch screen on the nightstand. The Cleveland Clinic data showed that patients who made no dietary changes, no medication adjustments, no exercise modifications, but who simply turned screens off 60 minutes before bed and introduced a basic stress reduction practice, reported measurable symptom improvement within 3 weeks. 3 weeks. The nerve repair window, once reopened, moved fast. The body had been waiting for the opportunity. It just needed the interference removed. The road crew needed the highway closed long enough to actually finish the work. Cortisol is the other half of this equation. Chronic stress keeps cortisol elevated around the clock, not just at night, all day. Elevated cortisol is inflammatory by nature. It constricts the small blood vessels, the microcirculation network that feeds peripheral nerves. The feet and lower legs, already the most remote territory in the body's circulatory map, are the first to feel that constriction. The tingling is not imaginary. It is ischemic. It is the nerve signaling that its blood supply has been reduced below the threshold needed to maintain normal function. It is a circulation problem wearing the costume of a nerve problem. And treating the nerve without addressing the cortisol is like mopping the floor without turning off the tap. The key moment arrives when patients in the Cleveland cohort are shown their own cortisol curves. Flatlined high across the entire day, no morning spike, no evening drop, just a sustained, grinding elevation that never resolves, never gives the nervous system the low cortisol window it needs to repair itself. They recognize it immediately. They have felt it for years. They called it stress. They called it anxiety. They called it just getting older. Nobody called it nerve damage, but that is exactly what it was producing quietly every single night in the dark while they scrolled. The screen glowing, the cortisol climbing, the nerves waiting for a repair window that never came. Here is what that looks like in practice. A person wakes at 6 a.m. already tense, cortisol already elevated from a night of fragmented sleep. They reach for their phone before their feet touch the floor. The screen delivers a stream of news, notifications, and social updates that keeps the stress response activated before the day has even started. By mid-morning, cortisol should be tapering. It does not. By afternoon, it should be low. It is not. By evening, when it should be approaching its lowest point to allow melatonin to rise, it is still elevated. The screen comes back out. The cycle restarts. The nerve repair window never opens. The body never gets the quiet it needs to do the work. And the tingling in the feet that was mild 6 months ago is now present every single morning before the first cup of coffee. The action is specific and immediate. Screens off 60 minutes before bed, not dimmed, not switched to night mode, off. A 10-minute breathing practice or gentle stretching routine before sleep. These are not suggestions, they are interventions. The difference between a nerve repair window that opens fully and one that stays permanently shut. Between a nervous system that recovers and one that continues its slow, invisible decline. Between waking up tomorrow with slightly less tingling than today or slightly more. The choice happens at 10:47 p.m. in the dark when the hand reaches for the phone out of habit. That is the moment. That is where the outcome is decided. The cohort had weeks before the damage crossed into irreversible territory, and the clock had already started. Tight shoes. Those tingling feet warned you, except now you know exactly why.